going into something of a love story which people thought ended tragically, but then it never ended. The beauty of the story is it still lives on. Just because the topic starts from Taj Mahal, I will go with the structure and go on to tell you how it is not actually just a structure. It is much beyond. If you see the name in Hindi, the Taj means the crown and Mahal means the palace. So it is the palace of the crown. This is probably in his writings the largest, the biggest, the wonderfulest palace that can ever be. This is the crown of all the palaces. Now I'm going to show 3 snaps of the Taj Mahal, which this is the first one. I want you to observe something. The first one, the second one, the third one. It is the same building. It's not all about the structure. It's about the things that are around it. I would like you to observe and tell me that what is changing, what is happening with that structure, or what is happening in the environment. This is the first picture. This is the second, the setting sun. This is the third. What did you notice? Anybody come up with any observation?
Well, there are 2 different angles. The palace got darker at the end. The second picture I think was the brightest. The first, the palace was the shades of the stone changed according to the light. In the second and third picture, the sun and the moon are in the same position as
I would like to really appreciate, she made a very important point. This is the same structure in the rising sun. This is the same structure in the setting sun. And this is the same structure with the moon behind. What the concept is, it wants to say, time flies, love stays. Let's give a big hand. One very big thing I would want to introduce is throughout the presentation that whatever we talk about this is immortal, is beyond logic. Whatever we are talking is bigger than life, larger than life. People always said there are some things which are tangible, there are some things which cannot be shown. These are intangible. Everybody believed love was intangible. Basic. Shah Jahan told love can be tangible. I can build a structure which could be known for love, and whenever the structure is being taught about, you will be remembered. He put up the world's most beautiful building, and he said, here is where I make love tangible. I give it a shape. And henceforth, it stands as a testament of the eternal power of love. The point why he made it so large, so huge, so out of the imaginations of the human scale is that he tend to connect every imagination with that of the concept of love. He wanted to tell that love is not something which you can contain. Love is not something which is ordinary. Love is not something which is normal. You have to be abnormal. You have to be huge. You have to be magnificent. You have to be beautiful. If I'm representing love, my structure should be representing every bit of it. It's very important to get the feeling of what and how the structure was built, that I explain you the story of what happened behind the concept of this building. Let us all go behind 3 centuries back into the 17th century, maybe the start of 4th now. It was in 1628 that this Mughal king, by the way, the Mughals came to conquer India in around, they were like a century before Shah Jahan, they were ruling in India. Shah Jahan had some other name, this wasn't his real name, but he had this internal vigor to make more and more territories under the Mughal rule. And his father named him Shah Jahan, which means the king of the world, a person who will rule the planet Earth. He saw that vigor in him and told, kid, I'll name you Shah Jahan. You are, if anybody on earth can rule the entire earth on his own, it's you. So that Shah Jahan became king in 1628. His life was through ups and downs. He had, they say, 300 wives, among which one wife named Mumtaz Mahal. She was named as the chosen one. It was said that no matter what ceremony is going through, no matter what wars are going through, once Shah Jahan is in palace, he will never even drink water, but straight away go to the room where the chosen one is sitting, and he will go to her. Such was the love between them two that while all this was going on, in 1629, just a year after he took over, Deccan is a part of India where the Mughals yet had not reached. So they started rebelling against the Mughal Empire, and he had to go to war. He was the person who led the front army, and what happened? That war was really very crucial for the Mughals to spread in the southern part of India. But when he was amidst the war, leading the front and the army, he received the news that Mumtaz fell ill. She was giving birth to their 14th child, and there was some complications. At that point, when he was about to win the race, about to win the war, and the point when he heard the news, he said, power is toothless. What do I do of so much land that I have conquered? What do I do of so much wealth that I have conquered? If my love is dying, am I still the richest person on earth? My father told me I could rule the world, rule the planet Earth, but does that give me the tooth to live on? No. He realized that power is toothless. He realized that wealth has no relevance. It was said that the Mughals lived life larger than they lived life king size. But what happened was, the moment he get the news, he came back to meet Mumtaz Mahal. And it was sad that she couldn't last long. He gave up all the facilities a king would enjoy. It is said from that point onwards, he went into 8 days of fast. He didn't drink water. He didn't eat. He took 2 years of confinement, which was very unlike a Mughal ruler. They were fond of everything that makes life beautiful, but he gave up no music, no luxury, no perfumes. That was the impact that event had on his life. Let's rewind back and zoom into that point of time when Shah Jahan came back to meet Mumtaz Mahal, when she was dying. What happened? Shah Jahan told Mumtaz that you're the most beautiful woman ever on this planet. Mumtaz told her last wish, and that was, build up a mausoleum most beautiful the world has ever seen. If you believe I'm the most beautiful, please build me a structure where I can rest with you for the rest of the life and the centuries to come. I won't die. I will live it. And that one statement became Shah Jahan's task for life. The structure, which started being built in 1632, took 21 years to build, with 20,000 artisans behind it. And that was his task for life. When the structure was built, it was noted by many tourists all around the world that it was a teardrop on the cheek of time. It was so beautiful, it was so full of light, you can see it was flowing. It It was much later in 1658, that is around 5 and 6 years about after the Taj was built, that the king of world, what happened was he allocated so much of national wealth and treasure behind building this structure that he actually created artificial famines. He used to divert the food shortage to the workers who were working there, and this created a shortage of food and artificial famines in other parts of the country. Suffering, the people took over the throne and led his son to take over him, and he was held as a prisoner by his own son because with one love that he had in his heart, he turned the entire society down. He would sit in a prison, but there was one thing he could still bet upon. His son gave him a prison which was exactly opposite the Taj, where he could every morning and night see the Taj and remember Mumtaz. He would hear servant stories. There was a servant who kept on telling him stories about his youth, about his power, about the time when Mumtaz was alive. In 1666, they say he died his mortal death. But he requested that I should be buried in the same structure because Mumtaz told me that we will never part. I will live. I, as the most beautiful woman, will keep living in the most beautiful structure on this planet. That was the story behind this. There are some more facts about the Taj that I would like to discuss, which talk about the structure tells much more about love than any scripture could have. There are many optical illusions in the structure. If you see on the top right, there is a gate through which you can see the Taj. When you enter Taj, the optical illusion is generally what happens that we approach any object, it becomes, to our senses, it becomes large. When we move away, it becomes small. But the optical illusion with which it was built is, when you go near to the gate, you will see Taj getting smaller. When you move away, you'll see it get bigger. The message they say that he wanted to put is that you cannot ever move away from love. Love is always with you. And when you move, you take the Taj or the love with you in your heart. The more you try to move away from it, it doesn't mean that it will end. It will stay and rather become much bigger. There is one more that they say that the minarets move away. They're not in symmetry. They're not perpendicular to the floor. They tend outwards. However, the structural engineers also argue that this was due to the earthquake design, that they wouldn't fall inside and not collapse the Taj, that they would fall outside and not disturb the structure. But there was a thought process behind it, and that says that those four minarets represented four different classes and thoughts of society which move and govern a life for human. And if something happens, say an earthquake, say any calamity, as in the last speaker talked about the external distances, those parts should fall away and the love shall stay. Another beauty about the Taj is that this one structure is kind of a cultural festival. One thing very great about the Mughals were they never imposed their religion when they came to India. They wanted to create a perfect picture where every community, every culture can live together. You can see many Hindu inscriptions on the Taj Mahal. On the right hand side, on the bottom, you can see a Trishul, which is a thing used in the Indian mythology, and an Om described together. Another thing, when you pinpoint at the top of the Taj and zoom in, what you could see is what you would see in a temple. An inverted lotus flower with a kalash, what they say is a jar with water and banana leaves and coconut on the top of it. And a crescent moon, which represents Lord Shiva. This wasn't actually the Mughal architecture they talk about. The beauty of the structure is it united people with the belief that hate divides, love unites. If there is something which represents love, it should represent unity. It should represent inclusivity. One other thing is the art which was used, the stone art, the embellishments on the facilities. They are actually a creatura, they say. It's an Italian art. He didn't rely on the Mughal artists. When the structure was being built, artisans from all parts of the world were called to reflect their art, and the best of all arts was put in the structure. So even Italian art finds place in it. And if the story goes back, all cultures can unite in this cultural festival, I say. When the king, the emperor was fighting the Deccan uprising, there were British who were helping him. And the latest weaponry that he was using was actually exported from Turkey. And he included Hindu designers to design this. You can see the concept of unity which he binds together the structure with. He didn't want this to be his structure. He wanted this structure to be a mark of love which humanity can celebrate across cultures, across countries, across time. If we talk about the relevance, it has some other relevances. It is also considered as an architectural masterpiece. Being from civil engineering, I would want to, but I'm not going today into the details of how wonderful architecture it is. But if we look back in these 3 centuries, it has been an inspiration of poets. A whole generation of poets was born praising love after this structure. And we say that this is where Shah Jahan succeeded. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to inspire people and think that power is toothless. They wanted to think that will is inappropriate, beyond the limit, and love is the main feeling where they live. It also started to become the Indian pride, their symbol. They say it is getting yellow because of the pollution problems right now. Well, we have to appreciate that the structure has resisted and stood amongst and across earthquakes and natural calamities for more than 3.5 centuries, which many buildings which are built modernly by the structural engineers have not, but this building has. But they say due to the environmental impacts, it is the marble shade is turning into yellow. But I would like to argue, if we think upon the structure has gone through so many earthquakes, one which was measured 9 on Richter scale. This has gone through natural calamities, through people going against, through 4 sections of the society repeatedly going and falling apart, but the structure has stayed. The problems are very small if we look them through the lenses of how powerful the love is, how powerful the feeling behind the structure is. I'd like to end up with some quotes. What did Shah Jahan himself say about the structure, which is noted down in Badshahnama in the history, is the sight of the mansion creates soaring sighs and makes sun and moon shed tears from their eyes. This was when he was in the prison and he wrote to his servant. In this world, this edifice has been made to display thereby the Creator's glory. He believed that it was Creator's glory that there would be life in a girl named Mumtaz, and the same glory should be reflected when people see Taj. There have been many people who have visited and who have notably made quotes. An English poet said, "It's not a piece of architecture as other buildings are. It is a proud passion of an emperor's love wrought in living stones." It is said that if you see the picture, it doesn't conclude. The moment you see it in person, That is the time you actually fall in love with it. Coming back, and I will end with Mr. Bill Clinton, president, who when visited the Taj, he said, soon the world will be divided into two kinds of people. One, who have seen Taj, and second, who hasn't seen Taj. I would say what he meant is, soon, with all the materialistic pleasure that we are running behind, we all will be divided into two sections. One that has experienced love, and the other that hasn't. I would like to end with this, but I would like to give a personal opinion on what this structure signifies, and that is, if we go into the life of today, where, say, a girl likes a guy, but he knows that he's not rich enough, so she will not tell that I'm already occupied, and she'll keep looking for it. So will a guy. This is how strong we feel the love is. But this guy, this king, this emperor, Shah Jahan, had the guts to say that this structure will live on my love, telling the people for generations to come that this was my love, and I built this, and